All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless me here again, talking real music in real time for a couple of real people out there, just like you, just like me. So over the weekend, Eric Clapton performed two sold-out shows at the historic Royal Albert Hall in London, England, and the media covered it. They didn't cover the run-up to it, but they covered it. In fact, I did a video yesterday that I was in a different kind of mood. Today, I'm a lot mellower. Yesterday, I wasn't so mellow. And you can find, I believe, the video I did yesterday over on Odyssey. I was going to upload it directly here, but I think I might have crossed a few lines, and there's this censorship issue. There's this algorithm issue. And so I just decided to do another video specifically for this platform. So, by the way, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. And the article, which circulates all over the United States and is posted on various iHeart radio stations like The River 107.com, right? And all these other places, you use certain search engines and you probably will find it. But this is from the mothership site that sends out all of the news that's fit to print for so-called classic rock stations. Now, what's interesting about this article is it describes Eric Clapton as embattled, kind of like, oh no, incoming, I'm embattled. I spoke my mind about a topic, and now who did the embattling? Did Eric Clapton do the embattling? Nope. It was the media. The media tried to destroy Eric Clapton because he went to the restaurant and had a bad experience at the restaurant. He did go to the restaurant, contrary to reports or to inferences that said, well, if Clapton would just be a team player and do what he's supposed to do, and he did do it. In fact, he went to the restaurant twice. See, this is what people continue to miss about all of this, that his skepticism, right, isn't linked to anything other than his own experiences. Let me say that again. His so-called skepticism is based on his own personal experiences. So what does that mean? That means that they're trying to discredit his own personal experiences. Imagine waking up in the morning and saying to your wife, your spouse, hey, I woke up, I got this pounding headache. I knew I should have used the duct tape yesterday, but I didn't. I forgot. It was in the junk drawer. So, I wake up with this headache, and she says, that's all in your mind. Think of it. It's all in your mind. Just get with the program. You're okay. You're fine. I don't believe that you have a headache. Because guess what? You're still moving around. You're still functional. You got out of bed. So how could you have a headache? This is exactly what they've been doing to Eric Clapton now for what, 2 years? Anyway, Clapton made his return. This is the article that spends almost as much time on destroying Eric Clapton or recounting what Eric Clapton has been up to when he's spoken about these topics. There are about 3 or 4 paragraphs of, hey, he went to the Royal Albert Hall. Here are some details. Now let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the fact that Eric Clapton did all these things, said all these things, and we're just going to discredit him. By the way, these were 2 sold out performances at London's Royal Albert Hall. Somebody sent me a message because I alerted the world that Eric was playing because no other media outlet made mention of it. And somebody said, hey, we're on our way to, they saw the video and we're on our way to Eric Clapton. It's weird. Nobody's really talking about this. It's only Eric Clapton, right? And according to Rolling Stone, because Jimi Hendrix is dead, right? Eric Clapton is the world's greatest living guitarist because he's on that list. He finished at number 2. So he's the world's greatest living guitar player. Kind of a big deal, unless, of course, see, Rolling Stone, I guarantee you, they'll revise their list at some point, and then people are just going to shake their heads and just go, really? Because of this issue, you're gonna take Clapton off that list, or you're gonna move him down or something. They'll put Joni Mitchell at number 2. Ted Nugent will be so happy. Joan Jett will be at number 2. Eric Clapton made his return to the stage, right? Here's the article. And again, follow along. Kicking off a UK and European tour with the first of 2 consecutive nights at London's Royal Albert Hall. The legendary guitarist opened his set by honoring Gary Brooker, the founder and lead singer of Procol Harum, who died in February. And by the way, there wasn't a whole lot of coverage on Gary Brooker. One of the finest vocalists the UK has ever produced. Anyway, Clapton performed Lead Me to the Water, which is the title track from Brooker's 1982 solo album, while a picture of the deceased rocker was shown on stage. Kind of interesting way to word this. By the way, that's an album that I'm pretty sure Eric Clapton worked on with Gary Brooker, so there's a connection there. From there, Clapton rattled off some more familiar tunes, including renditions of the Wailers' I Shot the Sheriff and Cream's White Room. By the way, that's Bob Marley and the Wailers, for those of you trying to follow at home. That's another band, quite frankly, that's been focus tested out of radio formats here in the United States. Bob Marley, which was essential college music listening. You went to a party in college and legend Bob Marley and the Wailers. That was the album, basically a compilation of Bob's best material. And much like Squeeze with, what was it, singles, 45s and under, you had to have certain albums in your collection back in the 80s when I was in college. You had to have like some Blues Brothers, Animal House soundtrack, all that stuff was essential. And it's all kind of disappeared. And there's a whole generation of people with money right now wondering, hey, what happened to the music I used to hear? It's pretty much gone. Anyway, a third of the way through the show, Clapton switched things up for a series of acoustic numbers, including Tears in Heaven and Layla. Surprisingly, the latter track would be performed again later in the evening when he returned to his full electric sound, or band. All right. The show's complete set list can be found below, along with videos from the concert. So we got 1, 2, 3 paragraphs, 3 short paragraphs about the show. The first paragraph or sentence is just that he's at Royal Albert Hall, which isn't really about the concert. It's just kind of setting up the article. Now, here we go. With the exception of a March 19th performance in Bahrain, which nobody really talked about, Clapton has not performed live since last September, when he embarked on a brief tour of the southern United States. Okay, so let's stop here. The reason he didn't want to go out there is because people weren't accommodating the audience in a way that Eric Clapton felt comfortable with. So let's continue. The Trek made headlines. The Trek, that is the concert Trek, made headlines at the time because Clapton, an outspoken critic, I would say Clapton is more like an unspoken critic, not an outspoken critic of the, those things you do when you go to Walgreens and CVS and you're just so happy to be there and they come at you and you're like, yes, please. Please give me another. Can you give me another, please? You've only had one. You need a second and a third. And he was an outspoken critic of both the trips to Walgreens and the mandated trips to Walgreens. He vowed to not play at venues that required proof of this particular thing, though he ultimately reneged on that promise. Okay, so I'm not sure this last sentence is accurate, that he reneged, because there was one place in Louisiana that apparently changed the rules on the fly, but according to Clapton's website, there was no mandated proof of having this particular thing in order for you to go into this arena. According to Clapton, his people, if you go back and check out his Facebook page, I think he rebuffed or debunked is even a better word, since they like to use this a lot. I think that whole issue was debunked. He didn't renege on that promise. And by the way, Clapton wouldn't have anything to do with this other than putting out a statement saying, I don't play arenas with discriminated audiences. That's what he said. And again, logistics people handle these issues and dealing with the venues. So I, would let Clapton off the hook, even if they did change this policy midstream and Clapton shows up thinking that the policy, do you think Eric Clapton is there on the phone negotiating with vendors, negotiating with places where he's going to go play? No. There are people that do that for him. Anyway, this article is just, it's meant to continue to feed criticism and to make Clapton look like a lunatic, and he's not. Over the past year and a half, Clapton has criticized the UK's lockdown measures in a series of songs written with fellow skeptic Van Morrison, including The Rebels and Stand and Deliver. He also co-wrote his recent solo single, Heart of a Child, with prominent Italian skeptic Robin Minotti. Oh no. Now, you know what'd be interesting, right? Robin Minotti, kind of a smart guy. Kind of a smart guy who follows this issue day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. And it would be interesting. See, these people, they always say, we've debunked this, or this doesn't exist, or these people are conspiracy theorists. But they don't talk to any of these people. These people have their own lane. And the reason they have their own lane is because everybody else who's one of these so-called journalists, they're afraid to get in that lane because they know information-wise, they're going to get destroyed. And it's like a debate. If you don't debate somebody, you can say that you're winning the debate. But as soon as someone, say, wanted to talk to Robin Minotti about his views, all they would do, by the way, is record what he says and then present it and say, see how crazy Robin is? That's what they would do. So I'm getting all of this from this particular article. These people are just allowed, they are allowed to throw out criticism without any regard to debate or inquiry, curiosity. There's no intellectual curiosity whatsoever. This goes on, by the way, and now I think word-wise, we are going to go past how many words were devoted to the concert itself, not including posting the set list, all right? So Clapton insists he is not an anti-thing sort of guy, but he's claimed that he's been ostracized by friends, family, and fellow musicians because of his polarizing views. They're polarizing. No, the media is polarizing. His views are not polarizing. The media has made his views polarizing. Clapton just, like I said, Clapton went to the restaurant. He had a bad experience. He shared his experience. So now he's polarizing. That's it. And he's not an outspoken. He's an unspoken. He's, oh no, Do I say this out loud? That's Eric Clapton. Should I share my experiences? See, here's the problem for Eric is that no, they don't want you to share your experiences. They want you to shut up. You had a bad experience, keep it to yourself because it's for the greater good. It's for the greater good. So he's polarizing. He also accused that wonderful magazine of running a slur campaign against him last year because of his skepticism and his lockdown critique. So what is wrong? See, journalism used to be skeptical, right? Oh, don't trust anyone over 30. Don't trust the government. Now we just love the government because the money, folks, flows in from the government. The money flows in from these large corporations that are essentially in bed with the government, and those corporations put that message out, right? And they pay lots of money to do this. And the people who work for these places are all sitting there going, do we destroy the cash cow? Of course not. Even if the information could save lives, even if that information could save lives, do we destroy the cash cow? Nope. Even if they present data and statistics, and this is what I've been talking about lately, you present data and people go, well, that's your opinion. No, this is hard data. This comes from their website. This comes from this particular company's website in the first 3 months when this wonderful thing just rolled out to the world. Super wonderful thing. 3 months. And it's actual data that they didn't want you to see for 75 years. And it's out there. And not a peep from all of these people who consider Eric Clapton to be embattled. Here's the last wonderful paragraph. Nevertheless, the embattled guitarist said his protest songs helped him to feel socially involved again and lit a fire in him that had been dormant for a long time. Now, it's funny, they put the word dormant in quotation marks, as well as the words socially involved. They're in quotation marks, almost to say he thinks he's socially involved. We all know Eric's got a few screws loose, right? We know. It's because he thinks he's socially involved by critiquing the plan that's in place, critiquing things that we've all agreed are the only way to solve this particular problem. And that's why for 2+ years now, the problem is still out there. And there doesn't seem to be any end in sight to the problem because we trusted the government. We didn't trust ourselves. And for those who contradicted the narrative, and there are many people that have been blackballed and truly ostracized and also banned from speaking their truth and their mind. And even if they have their own anecdotal experience, you just have to think to yourself, it's all in your head. That headache that you woke up with, it's all in your mind. And this is the critique. This is the intellectual prowess of these people, that they believe that this man shouldn't be able to have these opinions. And that writing songs, deep, interesting songs about destroying the innocence of a child, right? Which that's what that song is about, Heart of a Child. And there's more to it than just what they did, what the governments did. There's a whole war on children right now, and it's multi-pronged, multifaceted, and would not be appropriate for this particular channel or for this topic to go into that, but I think people know what I'm talking about. So in any event, Eric Clapton, the embattled guitarist, sells out 2 nights at Royal Albert Hall and is given almost as much grief over what he's done for the past couple of years, almost as much grief as the actual coverage of the concert itself, which to me isn't responsible journalism, isn't accurate journalism, has nothing to do with the concert itself. Just critique the concert. Critique the concert. Was it good? Was it bad? What song did you like? What song didn't you like? And why didn't you like it? How did his band sound? Did his band sound good? Did you notice you had representatives from certain groups in Eric's band? No mention of Paul Carrack being in the band. No mention of Doyle Bramhall. Of course, no mention of Nathan East, right? Being in the band, or the backup singers, or the drummer, whose name, escapes me because of brain fog here. But yeah, these people are guilty by omission all the time. All right. So that's my video. Thanks for watching. Sorry, I'm a bit under the weather here, but don't worry, people. Don't worry. I've got the horse medication, so don't worry.